All right, what happened? What happened was that my internet said, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Time to get out of here. That's what the internet said.
It's not a business deal, Mr. Bill. This is a...
So anyway, we're back. Okay, good. Thank you, Veronica. I'm so sorry. If I had my way, the internet would never die. Oh, shit. Are your comments gone? I think they're still... Unless you're being sarcastic. Were they... I know you guys were commenting some stuff and I was talking, so I didn't really look carefully at them. But I copied one of Veronica's down about the demons wearing a bib with a fork and a knife and a big smile. I do like that idea a lot. Anyway, I was just talking about when to fade in a face. And then when we pull out from the face, then we're here in the movie set. Like that. And then maybe then we can do a wide angle here. And obviously, like, I don't like... His head's too big. He's not wearing his tuxedo. And I actually decided to go ahead and put a drink in his hand. And so all of these shots of the body, I'm actually going to replace those. Or it's kind of easy with this program. All I have to do is go and find the same sequence of pictures and rename them the same name. And it will automatically put it in here. But basically, I wanted him to have his cup of apple juice, kind of Trailer Park Boys style, where you know, he's just always got a drink in his hand. I thought that might be some shit. Ain't that some shit? I thought it was. So I have that. That shouldn't be too hard. I just have to make sure I figure out what... Yeah, this got really complicated. I drew it on multiple layers, so I actually have... This is like a composite of like many different layers, which doesn't seem like it should have to be, but in order to animate his face and hands independently, I decided to just put them on separate tracks and decide to go through it manually. This might be a bad choice. It might take me way too much time. But it might turn out better. But it could also turn out worse if I get sloppy and lazy about it. The other option is to sort of choose my frames in Krita and export all of them as one picture. And that would sort of lighten up the work that I have to do here on the video editor. But I don't know. I thought to sort of treat this more like the way I do subtitles and stuff, where I kind of just go through it bit by bit and put exactly there what needs to be there. So anyway, that's more on the logistical end. And I'm sorry, I've lost my chat again, so I cannot read your chats. I'm trying to pull it back. It just requires multitasking because I'm talking about one thing and then I'm trying to pull up the chats. And it's hard. Walking and chewing gum. I always thought that was a weird example of multitasking because obviously that's very easy to do. To walk and chew something. Do you think, I don't know. I think once you learn to walk, you don't like lose the ability to chew. You know what I mean? Chewing is pretty natural. Did you learn to chew? Can you chew if you don't have teeth? Because that would affect it. I feel like you would maybe walk. Oh boy. Finally. That's how long it took me just to get the chat back. Have the slate in the opening of the video. The slate. Yeah, I know what the slate. Okay, the strack. I did draw a guy holding a slate. And the joke was that it's like take 470 or something. But what I'm thinking is at the beginning, hello, Steve Powell. Thank you. And yes, we were all celebrating about the shout out. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It was very, very good to get one. That's the first time, besides when they like read my name for being a policy wonk. That was the first time I got any kind of like recognition from them. It's like when the lead singer of your favorite band like points to you at the concert. And you're like, yeah, he pointed at me. And you're thinking like, oh, next time I see you, I'm going to be like, oh, you remember me? You pointed at me. That's what it felt like. It felt like getting pointed at by, you know, who's the... I keep thinking of like Aerosmith. Steven Tyler pointed right at me, looked right at me, and then he put his hand on his chest. We had a connection. So, anyway, about the slate. The moment that we start the video, where are we? Because I'm of two minds of the beginning of the video. We could maybe we could do a cold open. Maybe we could do a cold open and just chatter dies down, and then we hear the slat thwacking straight.
Okay, yeah.
No, we just jump straight here.
The big boardrooms in New York. The big boardrooms.
No,
It's
here.
not a business deal, Mr. Beal. This is a church. You think you just messed up a business deal, Mr. Beal?
Just start it right there. Right? And action. Just start it right there. Right? And action.
You think you just messed up a business deal, Mr. Beal?
That's an interesting little artistic opportunity we have here. Here's the other thing. I have the real speech from the movie down here as a reference. Okay? Now, I don't believe in the real speech he ever gives it that much air. He doesn't pause for that long.
Now they must put it back. It is ebb and flow, tidal gravity. It is ecological balance. You are an...
So that's like the longest gap of dead air he does there. Alex, he lets it breathe a little more. He wants to...
Mr. Beal.
He wants that moment to really hang in the air. And I want to preserve that artistic choice, and I want to elevate that artistic choice. Chad, what are you doing? Okay, let me see this. I mean, the slate in the opening has the DJ Danarchy Kudos episode title credits. Just be like a movie throughout the video. Yeah. And then have the person say like, knowledge fight animated up, scene 44, take 460. I want to watch a scene, or a behind the scenes thing, and get the actual like exact phrases people would say. people would say. Maybe. So, okay, this is good. What am I doing? I don't need that. I need this. I need my sticky notes. Slate in the opening of the video, and with the normal video credits in it, as if that's what the movie is. The movie is the video. The slat is to talk about what you're watching now. Yeah, it's fourth wall breaking. Chad says, like how I felt when my name was in one of your videos. Yes, exactly. That was so. I'm happy I got to give that feeling. It's an honor to be in a position where you dole that out to somebody. And thank you very much. That's great. I'm just as thrilled to be like the I pointed at you guy. I pointed. So maybe it can end with the Slate 2, that's all folks thing. The Alex says that was the logo for KF. Okay, yeah, I did remember that. I wanted to find a picture, and that's right when my internet dropped out. I was trying to Google search for the Knowledge Fight logo, which I could probably just look on my phone, but they changed it. It's my phone, but they changed it. It's the red one, right? The red logo that had like the Looney Tunes circles. Do you know what that is, by the way? That like circle closing in to finish the cartoon thing. I had been wondering about that because I liked those one time for a different video. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Why did they do that? It turns out it was from like closing the aperture of the camera really slowly. And that just became like a way to sort of like stop the camera, or like fade out or something, like how else were they going to do it? They didn't want to just like cut it off, and they didn't want to like stick their hand in front of it. So like they just were like, yeah, just turn that aperture all the way down until it's nothing. And it was one of those kind of circular aperture things. And so the image is just round and getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so in the negative space, it's just black. So, yeah, they were just like, yeah, that's how we're going to like end. And, you know, they would usually do it like on one character's face or something, like the last thing you see in the video. But it's like a very natural way to sort of signal we're wrapping up now. Okay, and then Chad said something about Mike Lindell. You got on to Mike Lindell's show, which is the opposite of that. Oh my goodness. I need you to tell me more about that. In what circumstances did you find yourself on? Do you mean on the telephone? I don't even know what his show is. What is his show? Is it, what's his fucking website? It was such a funny, stupid name. It's like, I don't know, truefacts.com or realfacts or something like that. Tell me more. Tell me everything you can about that. Okay. But here's the other train of thought is what if we do cold open here? And kind of forget about this preamble.
No.
Because like,
so Alex starts talking about.
So Alex says some really crazy shit, right? But the problem is this is all of the reaction I get from the boys.
No.
That's everything. That's everything they had to say about
All this is, and of course it's all on record too. But
about him saying that the globalists made this thing. I don't know. I think it's good for context. It's a great example of him lying and being an idiot. But basically, the reason I have this is because I have this. Because this sets up the clip.
So Alex starts talking about how he got this offer of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee.
Sure.
And he starts talking about how he was in these boardrooms.
So Dan just very naturally says what just happened. And if I open the video at that, I feel like you'd expect to hear about that. It could be a flashback.
So Alex starts talking about how he got this offer of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee.
Sure.
And then cut there, and then cut to this.
And they just said, the highest levels of the New World Order directly, obviously, reach out to us.
As high as Tolkien.
And
That little aside also is referencing a previous. What would that sound like if we cut that out?
reach out to us. And they just said,
That's the unfortunate thing with some of the Jordan jokes is they have to get cut out just because like they're not going to make sense. It's it's like it's either like you can't hear what either of them are saying if he's over talking, or like in this example, I don't want to go into the whole idea that Tolkien is a high level, New World Order thing, because that's the whole point. This clip just naturally could get longer and longer if I want to like actually explain what's happening, and I don't. We got to get to the meat of the matter, which is Alex reading Network and then saying it's a demon feast, right?
Rooms. And then it turns into him talking about how he lived that scene in Network.
What?
Where Ned Beatty is...
Get out of here.
Yeah. And then...
What if we just faded into this?
And then it turns into him talking about how he lived...
No, a little earlier.
He was in these boardrooms, the Truth and Reconciliation Committee.
Sure.
And he starts talking about how he was in...
Maybe it could fade in just from this point where Dan's saying...
He's talking about how he was in these boardrooms. Okay. And then it turns into him talking about how he lived that scene in Network.
What?
So, the idea here... Just double checking, am I still streaming? Okay, I think so. If I fade into the conversation, it would be like the music. I would need another little opening, a soft opening, like with, the ones that start with the music where you see Celine or something like that. So I could do another one of those. Maybe I need to try to incorporate something about movies in it. And then just fade up. The boys are just chatting with Alex on the freeze frame on the computer.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And then Alex does a line reading.
It's all in a movie.
like in the big...
So that would start at 39:54. Yeah, so like 15 seconds in, we'd get to the action.
Or directly, obviously, reach out to us. And they just...
So, I don't know. The more I'm thinking about this whole stuff at the beginning, while it's ridiculous, I don't know if it's actually going to be funny, because I don't have a good reaction from Dan and Jordan. I don't even know if I want to have the part where Dan talks about it, because it's just going to raise questions. And it's not the point of the video. The point of the video is what he says after and.
He was in these boardrooms.
He was in these boardrooms.
And then it turns into him talking about how he lived that scene in Network.
What?
like in the big boardrooms in D.C., the big boardrooms in...
There's even maybe a bit more of Alex that I could put in there. I don't know. It's tough to have to condense so much nonsense. Chad, if you can tell me anything else about being on Mike Lindell's show, please do. Lindell's show is. I don't know what it means to have got onto it. Were you on the telephone? Were you there in person? Were you there by your own volition? Were you tricked into being there? What happened? I have to know. what happened there. We might have saved a little more time already. So now that saved maybe 30 seconds. This button is good. I don't know about all of this. That's definitely a legs flinging in the air moment.
Somebody there was like, we got to get him off of this.
Yeah.
We're going to throw on a 90s sitcom voice, but to switch into, it's a Demon's Feast, people will be right back.
Yeah.
Just can't not do it. Freeze
Soft,
frame
mellow,
everything.
Soft, mellow music of him explaining that it's a demon feast.
It's a Demon Feast, everybody. My God, that's beyond satire.
Yeah.
That is just, you can't do that.
No.
You can't do that.
No.
That's good. I think all of that is good. When I listen to it, I smile.
Today, it's a demon feast, folks, and you're for dinner.
So that's what the actual set when Alex said this was. I ended up finding this kind of for reference, and I did draw a couple new Alex faces. I might want to look into those. Like, some of these are pretty good that I might.
The stars in The Shining, Jack Nicholson doesn't hold a candle. What somebody.
That little moment too, like, so he finishes his stupid speech. He knows he has to wrap up for commercials, so he goes. But it's like that, but a lot worse. And then he's like, "How bad? How bad is it? You know that guy in The Shining? You know Jack Nicholson? He doesn't hold a candle to."
We have some that looks like they're calling in. Just give me a minute and I'll let you know as soon as we have them ready.
Okay, I guess they're screening them now. Man, yeah, hey, Denver, I don't mind talking to prank callers too, or the attack media. We all know that.
Well, that's a new one because I've tried to get through many times. I've never been successful, but I guess that was more when Brandon was running the show. So I guess Denver will be a little looser with things. Also, whenever Lindell takes callers, he usually has to kill time waiting for someone to call in. But a Tommy Campbell Show viewer, Chad Tymeyer, managed to get through. And he's been bothered by Lindell's calculus claims that he often boasts about. If you're not sure what I'm talking about,
Oh, this
check
is
out.
awesome.
I took calculus in 8th grade. I said I took calculus in 8th grade. I said I was a professional card counter for part of my.
You don't need calculus to be a card counter. It's literally counting cards. Like, yeah, I studied calculus. I used to calculate the area of curved objects. I used to count cards. Do you know how you count cards? If you get a face card, add 1. If you get a non-face card, subtract 1. That's all you do. You're just subtracting and adding 1 at a time every time you see a card. And you just have to keep a running total. That is not calculus. That is not calculus. I'm sure you guys already know that. But Jesus fuck. This guy's so dumb.
A career, and I may have been an ex-crack addict and stuff, but I did take calculus in 8th grade. I can glance down my throat, glance down well, here I am. I took calculus in 8th or 9th grade. I believe it was 9th grade. I looked at numbers every day.
I think the only time this guy looked at numbers every day was when he was counting in grams. Math is one of Lindell's major reasons that he thinks people should listen to. Yet the guy can't count to 3, and his own math genius calculus claims flips between 8th grade and 9th grade. You would think that if one of the primary reasons you claim numbers guy is your mathematical expertise, yet Lindell can't get one number right, and he's called on it by Chad.
Okay, yeah, okay, go ahead. We'll bring him on. Do we have a name here?
It says
no name.
Chad
They didn't
calls
give us a
in.
name, so caller, you're on the line.
Okay, caller, you're on the line. How can I? This is Mike Lindell.
How can I? It's Mike
Mike
Lindell.
Lindell.
Okay, caller, you're on the Lindell. I can't hear anything on my end.
Hi.
Yep.
Oh God, the delay is happening on top of the stream buffering. That's all right.
Mike, you said
Yes.
calculus in the 8th or 9th grade? Which one was
Ninth
it?
grade.
And what? 9th grade. Okay. 'Cause you say 8th grade sometimes, and confusing.
Yeah, it was actually.
I love this, man. Just throwing him off, man. I mean, I would say it's not nice to be so cruel to a doddering old man. So good. Yeah, I know the delays affect everybody, man. They're killing me. They're affecting our prank calls. But oh boy, Lindell is a special kind of idiot, man.
I'm really glad to hear it.
Hey,
Oh, come on. Which was it? And what math class did you take after that? I want to see if he answers that question. What's next after calculus? What did you take in 10th grade?
Math class did you take after that? Oh, 9th grade. Okay. 'Cause you say 8th grade sometimes, and confusing.
yeah,
so
it was actually.
I'm
We
really glad to
started
hear
it.
it.
Hey,
Oh, the video's pausing at the same place every time. I hate that. Oh, man.
We have some that looks like they're calling in. Just give me a minute, and I'll let you know as soon as we have them ready.
okay, I guess they're screening them now. Man, yeah, hey, Denver, I don't mind talking to prank callers too, or they attack me.
Managed to get through, and he's been bothered by Lindell's calculus class.
Math class did you take after that? Oh, 9th grade. Okay. 'Cause you say 8th grade sometimes, and confusing.
Yeah,
so
it was actually.
I'm
We
really glad to
started
hear
it.
it.
Hey, Apollo, it was the end of 8th grade and 9th grade, but it was and actually it probably went into 10th grade. We were very much we were the first class ever at Chaska High School to do a very
What did
much
he say?
we were the first class and actually it probably went into 10th grade. We were the end of 8th grade and 9th grade, but it was and actually it probably went into 10th grade. It was
Oh, grade. Which one was
9th
it?
grade.
8th grade sometimes, and confusing.
Yeah,
so
it was actually.
I'm
We
really glad to
started
hear
it.
it.
Hey, Apollo, it was.
Apolobus is a guy. Chad, he said Apolobus. Do you accept his Apolobus? That was the funniest little... I've never heard anyone say apologies to this guy. Like, a polybus a guy. What is it?
Actually,
I'm really glad to hear it.
Hey, Apollo, it was.
Apolobus a guy? What is he saying? I thought he was saying apology. Apolobus a guy?
It was the end of 8th grade and 9th grade,
It was the end of 8th grade and 9th grade.
but it was and actually it probably went into.
Probably went into 10th grade. Calculus. Calculus 1, Calculus 2, right?
10th grade, we were very much we were the first class ever at Chaska High School
We were the first class ever in Chaska High School
to do a calculus.
That's awesome.
to do a calculus class. I don't believe him. There's a lot of little things that like always misunderstand and some teacher probably said something like, this is the first something something, and he just was like, oh yeah, I'm the first guy to ever do calculus.
That's that early.
Wow.
So what's your question?
So
Yeah, I don't think that's a great answer.
What's your question? Psh, should put beats to all these stuttering guys, and these are not stutterers. This is not the same thing as someone who quote unquote has a stutter. Like his stuttering, I wouldn't even. There's a difference into this kind of.
That early.
What's your question?
So-
Right? That's not like when like I don't think it's something that to deal with being made fun of for it. This is the loose-lipped, confident white guy who has absolutely no fucking idea what he's talking about, bullshitting. And that's just how you buy extra time for yourself. And you can hear it in all kinds of like boneheaded dudes who are just like so self-confident but are completely lacking in substance. They get repetitive, and it's that like, what do you want? What you want? Apollo is this guy. I think he knows about Tommy making fun of him for calculation science. Apollo is his producer. Apollo. He learned to use a calculator and thought that's calculus. Yeah. He used a graphing calculator. It's like x plus y, x squared minus 2b over... Wait, I can't even remember it now. But yeah, you could type in some shit on a graphing calculator, and the teacher's probably like, you used to have to do calculus by hand for this. And it's like, I did it. I did calculus. Oh, I know all the numbers. I look at numbers every day. Hey, Mike, these numbers are all nonsense. Hey, I look at numbers every day. Yeah, you look at nonsense numbers every day. We could all just look at numbers. Numbers are kind of fascinating because they always require context, and looking at a big list of numbers could be very, very, very interesting if you know the context of what those numbers mean. And it can also be completely boring and dumb. But you could get really into numbers if you think you know what the numbers mean, right? I totally understand people like losing their mind over like numerology and shit. Although they kind of lose me when they take it too seriously, and it's like, wait a minute, you could like a lot of numerology shit gets out of hand because they stop following their own rules. It's like, well, if you just add 6, if you minus 1, or if you like take each digit, multiply by 3, and then it just gets crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great answer, Mike.
So I'm sorry, I'm a little confused about Apollo. He was saying Apollo is the guy. He being whom? Apollo is his producer. Who? Mike Lindell's or this Tommy Campbell guy? Are you associated with Tommy Campbell in any way? Commenting on Mike Lindell and giving you a shout out. I'm slightly out of the loop. Are you associated with this guy? Do you know this dude? You asked about a claim he's been... Okay, I thought he would just hang up on you and say that you were a crank caller. That's great.
Lindell still can't nail down a story, and this is the first time we've seen 10th grade introduced, thanks to Chad, which is likely when it started, but far less impressive. I mean, if he even ever did take it in 10th grade. His own facts are so jumbled, it's like he's been playing the telephone game with himself. And speaking of phones, postal worker Chad noted that there was a big delay. No shocker that the systems aren't running well at the biggest broadcast place ever. And Chad went on to mention this.
Okay, so yeah, I work at the post office. I've seen all kinds of corruption going on there. Yeah, like, we all work really hard and they make us work overtime and it's so tough. But, like, I I haven't seen anything with the ballots though, because like we all delivered the ballots and like who lives there. Nobody's ever like, oh my God, I've got 20,000 ballots going to this address today. So I'm curious, what's going on with the ballots?
Well, wait, you know what? I've been focused on the machines. If you ever watch my show, you have to have other tools that people can say. Let me just say. I'll give you an example.
I love you for bringing this up, Chad, and you can see it clearly flusters Mike. Oh, wow, 20,000 ballots to this address. Never seen that. I mean, I was never a postie myself, but I worked for FedEx in the 90s, and I get what he's saying. You do the same route day after day. You know the names very quickly, but Lindell gets all flustered and frustrated, and he says he's focused on the machines. Chad says, well, they're okay, but Lindell ignores this and decides to rewrite history regarding mail-in ballots.
If you get all these mail-in ballots, which we didn't have before the China virus, which most of this was put in illegal by Secretary of State, so legislatures didn't vote that in. They're supposed to vote that in, but anyway, they had all these ballots. I'm telling you, if you're in a state and you get a mail-in ballot, keep that mail-in ballot, and then you go vote the day of the election.
There was mail-in voting before the last election. This is just insane. It was during the Civil War that America first experimented with absentee voting on a large scale. 5 states were already holding entirely mail-in elections before the pandemic: Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, and Utah. 29 states and Washington, D.C. allowed no excuse.
Okay, that's awesome, Chad. Chad, right there. Because I really love how you got him off his feet first, because you said, I've seen lots of corruption. And you start talking about the real ass corruption. It's fucking bosses crushing their workers, not paying them enough, making them work overtime. Bullshit work for bullshit pay. I don't care how many fudge rounds you want to eat. The enemy is not the guy eating the fudge rounds with food stamps. That's not the problem. So that was awesome. And then he's like, but I was actually mainly talking about... What do you mean I was actually mainly talking about something else? Like, Chad, excuse me, just because he made those claims in the past, he's like, but I'm not talking about that mostly now. Idiot. I'm talking about something else mostly. Mostly talking about machines. Okay, what machines? Oh, God. So, yeah, he says 20,000 mail-in ballots were delivered to an empty lot in Wisconsin. Apollo is this guy. I'm not. I'm just a fan of his. I'm assuming you mean Tommy Campbell. When you say this guy. But then he's also called Apollo? You got to be more specific, man. Pronouns alone don't do it for me. He and this guy and him. Because I'm seeing this man on my face, but I also see this man, old Mikey Lindell. You can just call him Pillows. What did he... Lumpy Pillows. Did you mention Lumpy Pillows? Like, oh yeah, one last thing. I'm sleeping on one of your pillows. But man, to be honest, it's a little lumpy. It's a little lumpy.
I'll give you an example.
You're an asshole. Fuck you.
I love you for bringing this up, Chad. Never seen that. I mean, I was never a postie myself, but I worked for FedEx in the 90s, and I get what he's saying. You do the same route day after day. You know the names very quickly, but Lindell gets all flustered and frustrated, and he says he's focused on machines. Chad says, well, they're okay, but Lindell ignores this and decides to rewrite history regarding mail-in ballots.
If you get all these mail-in ballots, which we didn't have before the China virus, which most of this was put in illegal by Secretary of State, so legislatures
put in illegal by Secretary of States. Most of these were put in illegal.
Which most of this was put in illegal by...
No, most of this
ballots, which we didn't have before the China virus, which most of this was put in illegal by Secretary of State, so legislatures didn't vote that in. They're supposed to vote that in. But anyway, they had all these ballots. I'm telling you, if you're in a state, you go vote the day of the election.
There was mail-in voting before the last election.
So at most, that would be 2 votes for one person. If you get a mail-in ballot, keep that. What about 20,000 mail-in ballots? Oh, Apollo is in the clip you're talking about. Okay. Oh, he was saying Apollo. This is okay. When Mike Lindell's talking to his camera guy or producer, he's saying Apollo. All right. Do you think he's really named Apollo? Or maybe he pronounces it Opalo.
This is just insane. It was during the Civil War that America first experimented with absentee voting on a large scale. 5 states were already holding entirely mail-in elections before the pandemic: Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, and Utah. 29 states and Washington, D.C. allowed no excuse mail-in absentee voting, and 16 states allowed voters to cast a ballot. Is that unreal?
Yeah, okay. I appreciate Tommy Campbell laying this out, because it is true. But fucking A. Like, how... He's like the guy who he's a true believer, Mike Lindell. He's a grifter only in the sense that he lies to get money. But he's not lying about how much he loves Donald Trump and wants Donald Trump to win. That, I believe, is 1,000% genuine. I don't think he would ever be like, oh, let's undermine Trump, for a leg up on my own. I get it. So he's so naive that he's stuck on what Trump was saying in the last election, which was like, don't vote by mail because that helps Democrats. Right? And so people were like spitballing, like, how do we attack mail-in voting? And Mike Lindell's like, got it. That's my thing now. Mail-in voting is so bad and terrible, and it's this new thing that only happened because of COVID. And it's like, dude, no, that's never been true. We've always, as long as we've had mail-in voting. And like, it's great that Tommy can lay that out, because a lot of people don't know that. They don't know that. They're young. There's 10,000 people a day that learn that mail has existed for a long-ass time, and they voted by mail. And no one ever had a problem with it until Donald Trump was like, this is going to hurt our chances because too many the Democrats are going to vote. Or should I say Democrats? You should, Donald, because that's how you won the presidency, is that you made dumb fucking little names up for people. And that fucking worked. They made you president, Donald, because of that. So, I hope his nickname game is still on point, which I hear it's not. It's like Laughing Kamala. Doesn't work. Anyway, I appreciate this. This is great. Let's get back to business. Back to business. What we're going to do is we're going to throw on the podcast, listen to it, and I'm going to draw some pictures. I don't know what I'm going to draw. I've got Alex heads already. I've got a lot of stuff. Oh, let's draw boardrooms in DC, boardrooms in New York, boardrooms in LA. That actually sounds like a fun thing to draw and to figure out how to draw. What is it?
The big boardrooms in New York, the big boardrooms in Los Angeles. I've been in them all. When I say all, like in the big boardrooms.
Like in the big boardrooms. And then he says
in DC, the big boardrooms.
reading.
It's all in a movie.
You know, like in the big boardrooms in D.C., the big boardrooms in New York, the big boardrooms in Los Angeles. I've been in them all. When I say all those cities. In
Cool.
the boardrooms. And, you know, you get the little Howard Beale speech. Remember Howard?
You get the little Howard Beale speech. That's what happens. Chad, no problem about the distraction. That's sort of how it works for me. Sometimes I kind of need the distraction. Like, if I just sort of do it, get all into it, I'm satisfied my curiosity. I think it's awesome. I learned a lot about you. I think you mentioned before that you're... He wants MAGA to get their mail ballots and take it to the polls on election day to show that it will register as having already voted. Yeah. He's like, here, everyone can, like, do election fraud on my behalf. I'll tell you to do it. I'll tell you how to do it, and I will instruct you to do it. And then we'll have all my money back. And yeah. And then I'll probably be made Secretary of State. Or how about Attorney General Mike Lindell? You don't need to actually be a lawyer to be an Attorney General. There's no law that says you have to be bar certified. Fuck it. It would not even strain credulity that if Mike got his act together, got on message, and helped elect Trump, that he would believe that he could be the AG. I think he would. Yeah, I think he's delusional like Alex. He'd be like, you know what? I can do it. I'll be the best AG. I told you about the numbers I knew. I actually know all the words, too. I know the letters, words. Okay, big boardrooms in LA, big boardrooms in DC, big boardrooms in New York. Oh, what the fuck? I've got multiple chat windows open. This is the current one. So let's open up Krita. Let's open up our podcast. And we are listening to 953. So let's change that. 953. All right, and we're just going to make a new project. Boardrooms in DC, New York, and LA.
Knowledge fight. Dan and Jordan, I am sweating. KnowledgeFight.com. It's time to pray.
I have great respect for Knowledge Fight.
Knowledge Fight. I'm sick of them posing as if they're the good guys, saying we are the bad guys. Knowledge Fight.
Dan and Jordan. Knowledge Fight.
I need money. Andy in Kansas. Stop it. Andy in Kansas. Andy, it's time to pray. Andy in Kansas, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Alex. I'm a first-time caller. I'm a huge fan. I love your work.
Knowledge Fight.
KnowledgeFight.com. I love you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Knowledge Fight. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
We're a couple dudes like to sit around, worship the altar of Celine, and talk a little bit about Alex Jones.
Oh, indeed we are. Dion.
Jordan.
Quick question for you.
What's up?
What's your bright spot today, buddy?
My bright spot today is actually, I'm a little bit delayed on this, so I'd like to apologize. I'm being sort of behind the times,
Okay.
what have you. But it came to my attention that someone had made some animations of some of our... I wanted to give a shout-out to that person.
Yeah.
Kudos to on YouTube. They're very, very funny. Very, very... It's very sweet.
Yes.
You know, and they really nailed the gray spot in my beard. It's just.
And, I mean, it is kind of
remarkable.
It is kind of strange, especially because I remember almost the day we started talking about that gray spot in your beard, like 6
It really captured it, and the way that you kick your legs up whenever you're laughing.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just fully in there.
The energy is correct.
Yeah, and then also someone made a Brendan and Coach McGurk.
Yeah.
So thank you so much to Kevin for that.
Yeah,
that was
that one's
such
ridiculous.
a delight. Yeah, it's interesting to see yourself in animation, or to see these sort of jokes that you've made in a visual form.
It's weird. It's weird.
But it's nice, and I appreciate it, so thank you.
I remember it reminded me of there was a Comedy Central show that would animate some stand-up bits, and I still remember. No. One that would go specifically just to like do animated bits. Because I remember the Ducks Eat for Free by Mitch Hedberg was turned into a really just perfect animation of what you would think of Mitch Hedberg buying bread for a duck. Would
comic remix?
It might have been. It might have been something like that.
Huh.
But yeah, there were all of those animated clips, and I remember thinking how much fun it was, and how like what a fun, nice little silly thing. And then I don't know. It's weird.
It was also definitely part of Dr. Katz.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. There was definitely that on Cats, for sure, no doubt. But
so what's your bright spot?
Well, this sucks. My tablet. My drawing tablet has these specific settings that can sort of go out of whack sometimes. And when I pull up my driver, it says I have to restart the computer to get it to work. And I absolutely cannot draw without it. Thank you. I am a bright spot. I am and have a bright spot. But fuck. I literally have to restart my computer, so I think I don't see any other way without ending the stream and having to restart it. Shit. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm sorry. I have to end this stream. I have to restart my whole computer to get my drawing tablet back to its correct settings, because it's literally like upwards. Like I can't draw like this. Okay, so